Hey everyone and welcome back to Just Finish Coding. I'm Sriram and this video is part 7 of the Pacman game dev series where we recreate the famous arcade game on Scratch. If you haven't watched parts 1 to 6, then click on the card up here. And just a reminder, if you are stuck during any part or video, you can head over to the downloadable files link in the description box below. Download just the file that you need and then continue with the tutorials. In this video, we will be programming the frightened game mode of the Pacman, where the ghosts can actually be killed. This results in a respawn, followed by the normal and chase codes once again. Fairly exciting stuff, so let's get right into the code. Alright, first go to the stage and create a new variable for all sprites called tick. This will keep track of how many times the Pacman has moved from the start of the game. Initially, set it to 0. Now go to the Pacman sprite and change tick by 1. This must happen each time the repeat loop executes, thus you can drag the entire inner code out and drop the change at its end. Place the code back and you are good to go. Let's now program the increase in score for the Bigfoot sprite and lay the groundwork to change the behavior of the ghost. Our scripts will be different for the clones and the sprite itself, so to distinguish the two, create a variable called clone for this sprite only. The working of this is very simple. At the start of the createClones function, set the clone variable to yes. Then, at the end of the function, set clone to no. This way, all the clones have that variable set to yes, while the sprite itself has it set to no. Good, onward to init. Here, create a new list called ghost deaths for all sprites. At the start, delete everything in the list and then within a repeat 4, add 0 to that list. Okay. Now create a custom block called reset ghost deaths, making sure to run without screen refresh. The block is super simple. We just replace every item in the list with 0. I haven't explained what this list is used for, and I'll do that right away. When the Pacman eats a Bigfoot particle, the game mode switches to frightened and each ghost can be killed. However, once a ghost has been killed, it reverts to its regular color. The ghost deaths list keeps track of whether a particular ghost has already been killed during the frightened mode. A value of 0 means that it has not been killed yet, and a value of 1 means that it has already been killed. Each item corresponds to a particular ghost. For now, just remember that item 1 corresponds to the red ghost. Let's move on. The main script will occur on receiving the start game message. Here, create a variable called current game tick for this sprite only. I will explain what this is for shortly. At the beginning, set it to 0. Repeat until game over becomes yes. Each time, check if the object is a clone. If yes, then check if the clone is touching the Pacman. If this condition is true, then change score by 1, then reset ghost deaths, and then set game mode to frightened. Okay, now create a variable for all sprites called frightened tick, set this to 0, and finally delete the clone. That's it with the clones. Now for the main sprite. There are two possible cases. The first being if game mode is frightened. If this is the case, then change frightened tick by 1. After this, check if frightened tick has reached 320. At this point, we'd want to warn the user that the effect of the invincible Pacman has almost ended and soon he will no longer be able to kill any ghost. For this, broadcast a new message called show warning and wait. We'll program what happens on receiving this message in a later video, just put it in for now. Eventually, frightened tick will become 360 and at this point set the game mode to normal. Now check if the score is greater than 40. If yes, then set current game tick to tick. Then broadcast a new message called remove warning and place it after the condition. After the frighten period ends, the ghost will revert to their normal state. However, beyond a short period of time, they will chase the Pacman once again. Great, onward to the second case where the game mode is normal. If the score is greater than 40 and tick minus current game tick is greater than 70, then set game mode to chase. By now you should be able to see the use of the current game tick variable. There is a case where the Pacman is being chased by the ghost and then he eats the big food. First, the mode switches to frightened, but after some time it switches back to normal. Remember, the ghosts will soon have to chase the Pacman, so we are giving the user 70 ticks to get ready for this. Perfect, now the game mode oscillates correctly between the three possibilities. Now the ghost just has to learn how to react to them. So go to the main game loop in the red ghost. Add a third if condition, checking if the game mode is frightened. Within this there are two cases. Item 1 of ghost deaths can be 0 or it can be 1. If it's 0, then it means that the ghost can be killed, but in the second case it's very simple. Since the ghost has already died, we will just use the normal code. In the first case, check if the ghost is touching the Pacman. Here the ghost must die. We will create a small explosion animation here. First, broadcast a new message called red death and wait. After this, hide. Repeat 5 and each time broadcast a new message called red death tick and wait. After this, broadcast another new message called red death end and wait. These animations will be controlled by the explosion sprite and the remains sprite. Both of these we will do later on. If you look in the costumes tab and scroll down, you will notice that in addition to the colored ghosts, there is a frightened sprite and the eyes. These will be used in this condition. Getting back, to mimic what happens in the actual Pacman game, switch the costume to eyes and then show. Good, now the ghost should animate itself to the prison. For this, create a custom block called glide to tile X with an input of tile X and tile Y with an input of tile Y. Also add a label for time with an input of seconds. This is an animation, so do not run without screen refresh. Throw in that block and go to 9,9 with a gliding time of 0.5 seconds. The ghost has finished dying now, so replace the first item of ghost deaths with 1. Finally, switch the costume back to red. That's pretty much it. Let's define the glide block. Get in some empty space and grab the glide seconds to X, Y from the motions tab. First, add the seconds input. We have to glide to the X and Y coordinate of tile X and tile Y. Lucky for us, we don't have to reinvent the wheel and have already completed this in go to tile X, tile Y. Grab those two blocks and drag them to the function. We just need the coordinates, so throw the X and Y coordinates to their respective places and throw out the set X and set Y blocks. Perfect, back to the main game loop. Here we have a second condition to program where the ghost must just roam around. First, switch costume to frightened. Next, get tile at the X position and the Y position. I just realized we don't have to code this either because we've done the code for the random movement already in the normal code function, so just duplicate the if-else condition from the same. We could just leave it as it is, but for the frightened ghosts, I would like it to be a little more vulnerable and thus move slower. change the slow input to 26, and we are done. Test the program and eat a big food particle. This effect does work, though there is a slight lag. We can kill the ghost, and after this, the ghost instantly respawns. That's wonderful. We do have a lot of polishing to do, and we will improve this process significantly later on. If you've enjoyed this video, then please make sure you leave a like, and also don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in part 8.